Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I just want to share a few thoughts with you that came to mind while I was scrolling through social media recently and was noticing some trends that are continuing. Things I've noticed actually, honestly, over the last several years on how we engage with each other and how we actually think for ourselves or don't think for ourselves. And so it just made me think about being a high school social studies teacher. Now, some of you may know for many years, I was a high school history teacher. And as a major topic that we often discussed was, how do we examine various points of view? How do we collect information from a wide range of resources or sources, and how do we make informed decisions for ourselves based on what we've learned for ourselves? In other words, we explored how to become critical, independent thinkers, while at the same time respecting the ideas of others who we may not agree with. Now, of course, lessons such as this aren't always easy ones and usually are taught more through a process than they are through like a single event, like a single dedicated lesson. Now, during these discussions, or as part of just simply living life with a bunch of teenagers on a daily basis, uh, I often found myself having to address issues that arose from watching kids interact in negative ways with, with those whom they didn't agree or simply were not like themselves. Now, sometimes they did this out in the open. Often it was done behind someone else's back. So, as the situations arose, I took the time to speak about the importance of listening to opinions not like our own and accepting those who are not like us. Now, on more than one occasion, I find myself asking students what it was that made them feel that they needed to mock those who didn't look like them, who didn't act like them, who didn't think like them, didn't dress like them, or believe the same things they did. What was it that gave them the right to make fun and put down and belittle those that were not like themselves? Now, these were never heavy handed conversations and usually began with a question such as this. I say, hey, folks, honest question. What makes you better than others? Do you feel that you're smarter? Do you feel you have more money? Are you more in with the cool kids than they are? Um, what is it that this person or group of people has done to deserve your disdain? Um, if you remember middle school at all or high school at all, you may have experienced times such as this, or either as the one who was handing out the attitude, or maybe the one who was receiving it. And we've all been there. Now, I would then usually turn the conversation toward the period of history that we were studying at the time and point out an example of the dangers of one group of people feeling superior to another, and how those feelings, if allowed to grow throughout a culture, often result in oppression and conflict. I would then ask, if it goes unchecked, how is your intolerant behavior towards those not like yourself any different from the people in this era whom history has deemed to be oppressors? Now, if this was a class in which I was teaching Star Wars, and yeah, some of you, if you're listening to this, you're one of my students, you might remember those lessons. And if you weren't, well, I'm sorry you missed out. We had a great time doing it. Um, but if it was one of the classes in which I taught Star Wars, I invariably brought in Yoda and the importance of seeking the understanding of others. I'd say something like this. If the old adage is true that we fear that which we do not understand, and we couple that with Yoda's teaching that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering, then could our lack of seeking an understanding of others directly result in suffering? Now, what do you think, folks? Could this be true? Now, if so, what do we do about it? How do we prevent it from happening? That prompt would often lead to some very rich discussion and learning on all parts. This usually was a very eye-opening conversation to many of my students, and almost always resulted in these really powerful discussions. It was easy at this stage of their development to slip into an unhealthy attitude towards others based on differences and a feeling that I'm right and you're wrong, and I'm better because of it. That's developmentally, that's where adolescents often are. For those who took our conversations to heart and did a little reflection, they realized that their behavior was not only hurting others, but hurting themselves as well. It's all part of growing up, right? It's all part of working through adolescence. It's part of the maturation process in which we move beyond ourselves and begin to think of others. Now, I get that. I got it then and I get it now. What I don't get is why I see so many adults today behaving the same way as my teenagers did toward those who hold different opinions than their own. What I don't get is why this behavior that mocks, that ridicules, that shames and belittles others has become such an accepted part of our adult society, if you will. Now, you might think, well, yeah, but we're grown. We know so much more now. Are we grown? Do we know so much more? Just some things to think about next time you begin to look at someone else who is not like you with ridicule or disdain or mockery, without trying to stop and think, maybe I should try to understand their point of view. Maybe I should try to put myself in their shoes. Doesn't mean that I have to agree with them, but it does mean I actually have to engage with someone else that's not like me. And oh wow, if I actually do that and actually treat them as a person and listen to them, man, maybe I'll actually see them as a person and not as an object of derision or my disdain. It's just some things to think about, and I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to hear your comments. Drop those below. But if you like content like this, I hope you'll keep coming back. And I'll talk to you guys again soon. And hope you have a wonderful day and an even better tomorrow. See you soon.